All right. Hello, everybody. It's me. Let's get those headphones off. Get that mask off. Yes. It's a little more difficult for me with the mask with elastic, but we're wearing our masks. We're doing our part, and I want to thank Sarah McBride for sharing and delivering this wonderful mask. Hello, everybody. I'm George Martinez, and thank you and welcome from Anchorage to the world. For all of my folks in Anchorage, welcome once again, and for everybody tuning in from other places, welcome to Anchorage. This is an opportunity for me to utilize my platform and resources from my campaign to be able to keep people connected and sharing information during this time of physical distancing. And I appreciate folks continuing to tune in and to share their information with us and feed questions that we can help resolve, get answers to, and utilize this platform. So once again, thank you for joining me tonight. And as you can see, if you've tuned in before, I'm in a different setting in my home, and I'm going to talk with Jen about this too. But when I started doing this broadcast, I was doing it from my garage, which is just through those doors there, and a little corner of a much more work-looking area. And I got the green light, the permission from the boss. My wife let me come into a better space and a more artistic space. So I thank my wife and welcome once again, everybody. I'm gonna put the music on pause. As you know, I've began every episode, every broadcast, whatever we want to call it, with a moment of silence and a land acknowledgement. And the moment of silence is in honor and in memory and respect to all the families who are dealing with the virus situation, who are affected by it directly, indirectly, who know a friend or a loved one who has lost their lives or is battling to keep their lives. I personally have lost several friends now at this point and know several other people whose family members are battling the virus. So thank you, Anchorage, for doing your part for social distancing. Now we give a moment of reflection. Thank you. And once again, I am broadcasting from my home in East Anchorage, and Anchorage is a city built on indigenous and original indigenous land from our ancestral stewards, the Dena'ina Athabaskan, whose stewardship once was and remains today. And I want to just recognize that wherever we're listening to, wherever we may be from in Anchorage, we are on ancestral land, and wherever you else in the world you are on, give some thought to the ancestral and indigenous people from the land of which you may be on listening to this broadcast from. So I want to thank you all for that moment. And I'm really excited about our program today. Let me bring in my my colleague and esteemed co-host. Hello, Jen.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me, George?
I hear you perfectly. You sound loud.
Too loud? Do I need to turn it down maybe?
For me, maybe, but I'm all a little, I got the earbuds on. They're really good.
Yeah, I'm trying something new as well. I'm hooked up to my laptop instead of my phone today. The battery started going out, so I'm here, but in a different way. So we'll see. Fingers crossed it works out well. So as long as you can hear me, great.
It sounds great. Got a good setting. You see, I got the artwork room today, so yeah. I'm feeling good about that.
Yeah, I'm up in my loft. It's my little office space, and I've got this little corner. I call it my Oprah corner. It's got some little chairs and stuff, and so it works out. It works out well. It's tucked away from the kids and the noise and everything. So,
well, we got a really great show. We're going to talk to a broadcast. We're going to talk to Neisha Jones, a small business person, but who's one of my local food gurus and health food gurus, and a person who just thinks about wellness in a very deep way and practices and embodies that. So I'm looking forward to having a conversation with her about food, and then also talking with Stephanie Claiborne about Anchorage Project Stimulus, which is really a look about economic stimulus from a grassroots perspective, but I think it opens the question about how we rebuild and what our bounce back looks like. So I'm looking forward to those conversations. But on that note, the first slide that we had opening the broadcast was back to the slide of coping, right? And I'm gonna just pop that on, coping. And today we're gonna look a little bit about the taking care of your body and then some other aspects. But I just wanted to mention, like what you just described is really important for everybody to pay attention to when you're home and you're quarantined, you're in tight quarters, to be able to really think about what kind of space you can retreat to, right? Can you, and think about how to create a decompression space for you, right? Tell me,
Yeah, so what we've done in our house, we have a hammock in the garage. That's kind of a little reading area for the kids, so they can go in there and sit in the hammock and read. I took a drive today down to Earthquake Park and sat and looked at Anchorage, across the water, and it was so beautiful. We're still here. We're still here. The city's still here, and I saw all these people in their cars, and they were kind of doing the same, and so finding those little areas or taking those moments to have self-reflection, have a quiet environment. A lot of us who have kids at home or maybe a significant other, we're not used to sharing such tight space, 24/7. Taking those moments, we've got some chairs set up out on the deck. So just finding those spaces where you can have some silence and quiet and think and reflect. And, when those times get heavy, just to clear your mind and kind of restart. We talk a lot about what's going to happen next, and
That's right.
and
That's right.
thinking about those moments of like, well, what comes next? Whether it's, am I going to shower today? Am I going to brush my hair? Am I going to teach my kids? Am I going to, whatever your intention for the day is, just having a moment of reflection before starting that, I think is really helpful right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you're right about that. And thinking of the nature of, we talk about, and I broadcast, and I am a champion of connections keep us safe, connections keep us healthy, connected, safe, healthy, prosperous, all this connectivity. I was even looking back at some of my nonprofit work from this week, from last decade ago. And, my focus was on connectivity. It's always been around connection, innovation, and community. But, there's we're a lot of oversaturated with connection with respect to just thinking of the nature of online meetings and folks who are privileged. Like, I'm totally blessed to be able to work from home with my day-to-day 9-to-5 job. And so, but even in that, we're so connected that finding that and making sure the intentionality of that extra decompression time, but where we take it for granted sometimes, is really, really important.
Oh, 100%. There was a day last week, both my kids met with their classes via Zoom, and then my daughter has dance class on Zoom, and then I had dance class on Zoom, and then we had a meeting on Zoom.
Zoomed
so
out.
Everywhere, I don't just want to do a Zoom. Like, it was all day Zoom. So yeah, I think taking a breath, and it can be overwhelming, especially with new technology. And like you said, it is a privilege. I know that when ASD was doing their canvassing to see what the technological needs for the community were, there's 5% that have no access. So there is a portion of our community that isn't able to have this connectivity. And I think we need to be thinking about those that maybe need more information, need that communication, our neighbors that might need a little help.
That's right. And the various sectors and other really social service providers, and even providers of different things in our community, and that's why we're using this platform, why I'm utilizing other resources in my campaign and other elements that I have to be able to help people stay connected who may not be in the traditional spaces of where the communication or where even the community mobilization is, but they're still here in our community. We're a very diverse community, very broad. And that was one of the real strong takeaways from the Zoom, one of the many Zoom meetings that we shared. Absolutely. And I just wanted to reflect, last time we talked about promoting, like the election was coming up. The election just happened. And I don't want to go into, I'm not doing the Alaska landmine, right? I'm not going to do that. Props to that space. Props to Jeff. I'm not. I just rather just give a quick reflection on it, because I think, with respect to the city supporting its bonds and supporting its kind of like the investment into areas that we need investment into, I think that's a strong message that we still believe in the stability of our city and the resiliency of our city, right? I think that was one of the things that I saw. Obviously, I think like the marijuana on-site premises is a different type of issue that is not like strategic investments into areas like whether they're bonds and capital projects, or it was the alcohol sales tax. What do you think about that?
Oh gosh, you're going to shove me down a rabbit hole with all of that. But I do agree. I think the big thing is we did the mail-in votes.
Huge
numbers. It sounded like we're tracking about on par as before. And I think it's important to remember this moving forward, that if you feel like your voice was not reflected in this vote, then it is up to you. You have to vote, and not just you, but if you're in a circle and you're all saying, oh, well, oh man, that didn't pass, or, oh, I knew this was going to happen. This is a moment where we need to move beyond bipartisanship. We need to move into a realm, leadership that gets things done and looks out for the best in our city and isn't tied to any one cause or any one dollar amount. People who are really trying to make a difference. So if you're in that circle that feels like you're not being heard or the vote didn't reflect you, then do your best to rally your friends, get out there and vote, especially if we're doing mail in or however that looks in the future.
That's right.
It's so simple and so easy. So
Well, we've lowered the barrier, we've made it easier, and I think it's, again, like I tend not to. I've been promoting nonpartisan political engagement and really I just care that people do engage and get involved. Obviously, with respect to next year 2021 ballot, I have a strong preference for mayor, and I hope that we're able to reach out to more and more people, obviously, but the nature of to your point, people owning the choices, owning the outcomes. I think that's what's one of the important elements of making sure we do promote that everybody votes. But I also remember and will reflect on a post that I got today from a sister out in the community, Rosalind. I saw your post, Rosalind, and the nature of that that I'm bringing a bring people together value system that is really from a nonpartisan perspective and really focused on rolling sleeves up to push and move our city forward, because it's going to take all of us. That's so much more important than the partisan bickering that's going on. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are reaching out to so many people, and people are reaching out from all different walks, because there's an opportunity to be heard and be connected to a space that is not layered with one of the edges, right?
And being educated. I think the education
critical.
element is so important, because we don't know what we don't know. And so if you want to vote on something, but you're unsure, maybe that's keeping you from voicing your opinion because you don't want to sound ignorant, or, you don't want to place your vote in a wrong place, because it is important to you. So being educated on, whatever we can provide, I think is helpful, and it's great for the community.
To Margot, School Board Margot Bellamy's point, vote or stop complaining with an exclamation point. Thank you, School Board member. And yes, my position is when people fought, died for that right, you have an obligation, right? And so let's live to the best of the obligation. But on that level, taking care of ourselves was the other part of the conversation, and food is really important. And I'm thinking, how are people taking care of themselves? How are people eating? And then the person that popped into my mind that we should be talking with is Neisha Jones. Oh. So let's bring Sister Neisha in. Hey, Neisha.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Oh, really I'm so happy to see your face and hear your voice.
I know. So good to see you and George.
Yeah.
Good to see you. And it was fun. I know Neisha for many, many years, and we were focused on a lot of civic and political engagement together. Mm-hmm. And, we're at a space where when we started running really hard, we were probably, the type of people to push to the boundaries of all of our capacity at the expense of our health, right? And then you get to a space where you start to really think about that wellness. But now we're in this captive space where we can go outside and move around, but options may seem limited to a lot of people with food. So first of all, Neisha, how you doing? And then let's talk a little bit about some food, because I know you're one of my gurus.
Oh, thank you so much. You know what I've been doing is keeping busy over here, finding activities for my little one. I have a toddler, keeping her busy, cooking up a storm. You guys have probably been following Facebook and Instagram. All of my posts of food. I mean, that keeps me in my happy place. And that's how I stay motivated over here, trying to get good food and keep my energy up. You got to focus on light things,
So you said light things?
Yeah. Focus on finding the light, focus on trying to stay light and not pack on an additional 20 pounds.
All right. Please help. Let's go into it. Because I would totally be canvassing, right? We'd be knocking on doors. I would be walking and talking to people so much that my step count is a lot less, and my snack count is maybe higher than it should be. Let's talk about that. How do you do that light part? And what could people like me be thinking about to make sure that we stay on a good rhythm?
You know what? Routine and planning. I really have become, honestly, I've taken the advice I give to clients, and what I follow with my business is making sure that I'm tracking, that we're planning. And now too, that we have these stay-at-home orders and you're only getting out for essentials, you want to make sure you have your basics at home and food that can stretch, right? A lot of times I think when you're eating more fresh options like produce and things like that, those things go quicker. So I think help keeping those things on board. If you're a meat eater, making sure you have options that are frozen, things that you can thaw out, things that you can throw in the Instapot. I am an Instapot fanatic. If you don't have one, that's a great investment, a crock pot. And then you can stretch those meals for days and you don't feel the burden or the anxiety of having to get to the store every few days. So literally that's what we've been doing over here. Just the other day I did, totally basic, but like a vegetable soup. Just use what you have. If it's going bad and you know that you're going to use it quickly, throw it in the crock pot and make it stretch. So, and I'm all about 30-minute meals or less. I don't like to spend additional time in the kitchen if I don't have to. So, yeah.
30 minute, give us an example, if you would, of a 30-minute meal that takes us from, like, makes us feel like we're even stepping up. Like we want to feel a little creative. We've been cooped up. We got cooped up food, and I did enough crock pot. Give me a step up food. Give me how I feel fancy. I want to go out tonight.
Okay, basic, like, and I'm from the South. My family's from Mississippi, right? So I'm a country girl. So we love red beans and rice. So simple. You have like your staples in like the cabinet that you keep beans, dry goods, right? Or even if it's canned goods. You can throw those beans in a crock pot. If you are a meat eater, then you can chop up some sausage, get your celery, get your onions, your garlic, and then those beans automatically create their own paste. Some people throw tomato paste, canned tomatoes in there, and throw that in there for like about 3-4 hours. And then you steam up your rice and there goes your meal. You can eat on that for the next, 4 or 5 days. So that's an easy thing. And then you can take that and you can flip it different ways. If you don't want to eat it with rice, you can throw it over top of couscous, or you can throw turkey with it, turkey legs, chicken. There's different ways that you can remix that meal and make it feel like you're eating something new from day to day. Oh, Miss.
You see what Margo, school board member, and let me read that so for folks that are listening, can I please have that shrimp and grits recipe?
Absolutely. You know what, Miss Margo, what I'll do is I will take that recipe, because I posted it on Facebook underneath in the comment section, because I had a plethora of people that reached out to me about those shrimp and grits. And I can tag you to that, or I can copy it and then put it here for you guys who are interested in learning how to make shrimp and grits. So easy. So easy. Just get you some instant grits and boil them up. And one thing I did just quickly with those shrimp, all I did was pan sear those in like a little bit of garlic. And I love to cook with ghee. Yeah, couscous. I love couscous, Sonia.
There you go. Look at that. Yeah.
So I just pan seared those, cooked up the grits. A game changer for your grits is you can throw in like some smoked Gouda in those grits, or throw in some cream cheese in those grits. Make them nice, thick, and savory. And then throw your shrimp on top of it. And you got a whole meal, and you feel like you're doing something big at home. Right.
Right.
Those are the secrets.
That sounds right. That sounds big.
Those are the secrets. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's first of all, thank you for sharing. I think we got a lot of love. Here, let me give you one of the dilemmas that some folks may have, that again are that I may be a representative of, which is essentially the breaditarians. People that really appreciate a good hearty bread, and knowing that that's not a good thing for you. Like regular normal bread is not a healthy thing for you. What are the options that people could think about to be able to step into that space with respect to maybe alternatives, but for like a bread alternative?
Well, I don't think think there's anything wrong with bread as long as you're not eating it all day, right? And I think the main thing about the bread is get it in early. Try to get it in before noon and burn it off for the rest of the day. I mean, do some at-home workouts, get outside, walk around. But some great alternatives to the bread is grains. Get you some healthy grains, some millet, some barley, some couscous like Sonia mentioned, and sub that out instead of the bread so you don't have those dense calories. But I mean,
first of all,
bread.
I was going to say, first of all, I really love that you were the first person I think I've ever talked to, friend or like expert or whoever, that has said, yeah, just have bread earlier. Like that, I think. So thank you. I appreciate that. It's a good point.
Yeah. Well, another thing that I think is another important thing is now that we're at home, this is what I'm just going to plug this real quick. What I'm really loving is with this stay at home, it's really putting a focus back around family, right? And incorporating your family and bringing people together to convene, because normally, like if you're working a 9 to 5, you're not home all day with your kids, you're out and about. So it's bringing people together around tradition, right? Around cooking, preparing meals together, sitting down and eating together. So I also think that this is a great time now, parents, caregivers, you have family members in the house, include your kids in what you're doing. And Jen, I've been loving what you've been doing as well. Like when you've been doing those recipes with the kids and showing little things you guys are working on. It's important to throw the kids in there too and teach them like healthy habits also.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, my kids, they ask, they want to, you know, my son's 9 years old. So anything with a knife that he can cut, he's loving it. You know, it's like a big boy thing. So including them has been critical for my sanity, I know, because I've got some little sous chefs helping me, you know, chop things and mix and it takes a little bit of the stress off me. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I also put together something real quick for you guys. George,
oh yeah, please.
Like I just did it just because I was like, this is a quick thing for kids, right?
Yeah.
So I put together this little bin here, right? So this is a quick little treat that you can make. They're called protein snack balls. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. I put them on Facebook and on my Instagram, but these are really quick ingredients, things that you probably have already sitting in your pantry that you can use that are no bake. All you do is put them together and then you just put them in the fridge and let them cool. So these protein snack balls, a couple of ingredients that I use, you can throw in whatever kind of mixings you want to make it fun and whatever your family prefers. Basic ingredients, flaxseed. Flaxseed is really good. Flaxseed is really great to help you digest food. It helps pull bile out of the intestines. It's really a great thing to have. It's full of omega-3, 6, 9s. So this is a really good thing to have as a staple in your cabinet. Honey. I mean, who doesn't use honey? Tea. You put it in your food, your drinks. Chocolate chips. If you got little ones around the house, you probably have chocolate chips because you're making cookies or whatever treats you'd like to make. Rolled oats. Rolled oats I keep around because I like to cook these sometimes for the baby, or sometimes I throw them in snacks. I keep them around because of this particular recipe. Peanut butter, basic peanut butter, and coconut flakes. So what you do with these ingredients is you literally, just based off of how many you're gonna make, you normally do like about 2 cups of the rolled oats. You do about 1/4 of a cup of the flaxseed. You can throw your coconut and chocolate chips in as your leisure, 2 cups of peanut butter, and then you throw in a little bit, about 1/3 of a cup of honey. You put that all in one big bin or a bowl. And then what I do is I have my little one, she's 3, she helps me roll them. So you put all those ingredients together and you just roll the ball and you put them on a nonstick tray or put like some parchment paper down and then put those things right into the fridge and let them cool for about a minute and you got a good snack. It's like a granola bar.
Wow.
It's really awesome. You can turn them into bars, balls, but they are so great for the family and they're so low calorie. About each ball is honestly like about 60 calories. So you can do a couple of those and not feel the burden of eating unhealthy. And they're delicious.
As I told you when I started, that's what I mentioned at the very beginning of bringing on Neisha. This is my food guru. Help me navigate where I get a good flavor, a good taste, and a nutritional benefit. Yeah, right on. Because you're a foodie that keeps it real.
I do, but I like real food too, though. It's a balance. I'm a Southern girl, so I like
Yeah.
healthy, and then I like to have my splurges here and there. It's just about balance and not eating it all the time, you know. Of course, EJ, you're welcome.
And you know, you mentioned refrigerator, and I don't know. I'm going to just pull this quote, this comment up, and this brother Lee Haywood, and I'm not sure what this means though, but he said we're all getting refrigerator tan lines. Which okay, I think I understand where he's going. So I think he's listening to the tips too.
I love it.
Oh look, you got a new hashtag for you, foodie that keeps it real. There you go.
I love EJ's tip, all of his traditional foods. Oh man.
Oh yeah. I love
absolutely his pictures as well.
Neisha, first of all, thank you for giving us some of your time to be with us, for sharing on the platform with me. Thank you for supporting me, but thank you for being here to just really support the community with good information and an upbeat message of connectivity.
Absolutely. Anytime, George, anytime.
Oh man, absolutely. So thank you. Stay tuned. With our next conversation is going to be with some other friends and folks that we know in our network that are doing some really good things. And I just want to put the plug. Neisha and I are part of. I can see I got my block by block button on. That we generated this from working and building up We Are Anchorage, this community space that was a grassroots mobilization effort in the face of community violence.
Right.
So this is still our strategy, and now it's calorie by calorie. Thank you, Neisha. Have a great rest of your night and great rest of your weekend, and all the best.
All right, I'll stay tuned.
Excellent. Thank you.
Bye, guys. See you later.
What an awesome conversation. I hope folks were taking it. And if you're listening now and you want to go back in that recipe, remember the recording, this is recorded. And so you can go back on the Facebook. You can even find it on YouTube and go back and listen to any recipe or any piece of information that any of our guests have. So are you going to do that this week too?
Oh yeah, I actually have like a little granola bar. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's like a pan with the molds and everything for the granola bars. And I have her recipe saved because she posted it one time. I'm always like mouth watering when I see her post because they look so good. And if you've ever had Neisha's food, you know it is so good. So good. Right. And I totally agree with her. It's about balance. Right. And the refrigerator tan lines, it's like you go in there, you look, and you're like, oh no, nothing looks good. But then you open it again, like, well, maybe this time
all day.
All day. Yep.
Like it changes. Like something changes.
Yeah. So I think those bars, that's a great thing you could just have out and
it sounds fun, with the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, our kids are going to be home. The impact of this to work and whatnot, we have to be in front of and we have to be thoughtful of. But our kids are going to be home for the rest of the school year.
Yep.
And so thinking of things that they can do themselves too, like that's a non-threatening one, except for a little mess.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's kind of an easy thing to put together. And I think that's a really helpful tip. Thank you, Neisha. And but it reminds me of this, what's happening in our community. There are people like Neisha, who's a small business owner, who's a social entrepreneur, a community engager, and but who have all of these other skill sets, and they often bring it to the community square to contribute. Yep. Right. And I support that. And I love when people do that. I think that's that ownership mentality and this really entrepreneurial spirit of civic engagement, essentially. But in our community, there's so much going on that one of my friends reached out and in a conversation, I mean, it's all like 3 degrees of separation in Anchorage, right? 1.5 degrees of separation. And so somehow in doing one of the mobilization and kind of outreach efforts and listening and kind of building rapport with community, we heard of a phenomenal idea that was going on. And let me just put it, if you hear any technical difficulties with the feed, I apologize. If you hear loud dogs barking in the background, I'm in a different room. And so they at this point in the day may want their space back, and they may be getting antsy. And so remember, Anchorage is a dog town, and so I love mine, and but but they also need their own space to relax.
I think they are the biggest winners in this. I don't know. My cat keeps going, "Why are you guys always home?" But the dog, I mean, she is loving it. She's getting out on walks every day. Her whole family is home. Nonstop goodies. Yeah, she's loving it. She might gain the quarantine 15 too. We're loving on her good.
Oh yeah, and somebody told me that too. Their cat was like, "Why are you still here?" But the dog is
yeah.
like, "Yay, you're still here."
Oh yeah.
Exactly. And so, but this impact of what's happening in the community and the way that people are mobilizing, how people come to a space of engagement, I think is a beautiful part of understanding intentionality. And when people have purpose and they find that and they're able to align purpose to a need, that's one of the most gratifying feelings that anybody could have, especially for people who are leaning into it and having the intention of making a difference. And so let's bring in our next friend and community member. Hello, Stephanie.
Be quiet for just a few minutes.
Oh yeah,
Hi.
that's it. Yeah, we got the
same
family.
Conversation. Same conversation.
Exactly. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me tonight on our town hall.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I hope you had a chance to listen into a little bit of what Neisha was sharing, some really great recipes, and then a good, healthy, fun thing to bring the kids into so you can actually have a shared opportunity to make some food together.
Oh, yes, for sure. I was making sure my husband was paying attention because he's the cook of the family.
Woo!
Nice.
Okay. So
nice.
Anyway, that was really good.
Excellent. Well, I mean, that's the main point of, we're trying to connect people, share information. And also, I think it's important that we highlight great things and great ideas. And when people see and have a vision of how they can fulfill and serve the community. And so thank you for joining us tonight because you have a vision. You're working to mobilize their vision with community members who are phenomenal people in their own right. As individuals, each of the people that you're working with has a vision for the work that they're doing. They have a heart to be able to be big enough to work on collective impact visions. And so you got a good team around you, right? But it started off with this particular conversation of a project that you're working on. And let me pull this up with the little banner. The Anchorage Project Stimulus is really something that came to you from a different source. Can you share the genesis of how you came up with this idea, and then we'll walk through a little bit about what it means, what it aims to do, and how people could get involved to support, and then also potentially be on the lookout for the help that you're prepared to bring. But share a little bit about how you even came up with this idea and what is it about?
Yeah, sure. This idea really didn't come from something that I generated because I realized this idea was like being downloaded to me, it was beyond me. And so we know sometimes that when you have ideas or you get a creative solution, usually that's beyond you. It's something that, something that comes about because, either you're in prayer, and that's what my instance was. I was driving home from work and hearing about everything developing with COVID-19. And, I was starting to say, God, what's going to happen here? What do we do? How do we protect Anchorage? How do we help the people in Anchorage? And I heard Anchorage Project Stimulus in my spirit. And I was like, okay. And then the idea came to have people donate, whether they are business owners, whether they're just regular community members, people just be able to donate anywhere from like $1 to $500 to a community fund. And the community fund would be handled through a nonprofit, which is a charitable organization, the House of Transformation, from my girl, Lena Mavega. And Yeah, so that's how that kind of started. I also ran this idea by Jennifer Christensen from Beacon Media. And Jennifer and I were talking about it, and we're like, yeah, we believe that this is a divine idea, something for the whole community. Everyone can get involved, and nobody will be excluded, if that makes any sense.
It
So,
does. It does. And one of the things that when you told me about the idea, I think I mentioned like this is a strong community of a pay it forward spirit normally. Right? There's a culture that we practice that here in Anchorage. I hadn't experienced a pay it forward community as strong as in Anchorage as in Anchorage anywhere else. In my journeys, in my travels, especially in the lower 48, and so knowing that that spirit is there meets what you're giving is a vision that people with $1 still can make a difference. I think that I love the idea that when we talk about crowdsourcing support, we can all play a role in it. We can all be involved in something, and so you have a kind of a really inclusive vision of even of what it takes to be involved in helping other people.
right. I mean, because the one thing that I've learned growing up in Anchorage is that we stick together.
Oh yeah.
We just stick together. It doesn't matter if you're in Fairview and you're in Southside, if wherever you're at, doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter your sexual orientation, doesn't matter. We stick together. And so this is something that I believe is a divine strategy because
Okay.
it's bringing unity to the community. Oh, that rhymes. Unity to the community.
I
Oh
love
yeah.
that. I love that.
It is, and divine strategies are good. And then, like, one of the things I was reflecting with somebody recently was like this idea of like when the timing, right? When you get to see like a vision. I mean, just thinking of Dr. King. I think I was referencing Dr. King in the nature of a vision or the dream, but he was very, very clear that like the timing for the manifestation wasn't then for that particular dream. It was he was articulating a journey that was to come to get to a destination point. But right now, in a need moment, we have the capacity, we have the technology, and then when it's coupled with a vision of the what to actually make a difference now. So you're closer. It's not just a vision. Like you said, you already brought some people in, but you're closer to actually being able to implement this vision.
That's correct. So Jennifer and also Lena, they are geniuses, like, in their fields. And so Jennifer also had the idea of doing Anchorage Together and combining it with Anchorage Project Stimulus. And what that's going to do, it's going to be able to help people to create, donate, and elevate. So create. So if you have an idea, if you have something that's going to help the community, you can post it there and we can join behind you and get the almost like the wind and the sails of that creation. Also donate. So if there's a business you want to donate to, if there's a family you want to donate to, you can do it through this website. And then also to elevate. And then when we see people doing good and we see businesses doing good, here we go. Let's do a shout out. Let's make sure that we're empowering other people to join the vision for Anchorage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So then also let me add in there too. So we're gonna have a website. Jennifer's already developed a website.
That was
We're
close to
not
launch,
live.
right? You're close though. You're like a couple of weeks
We're
away,
close
yeah?
to launch. Yeah, we're not launching today or
Okay.
anything, but we are close to launch. And so there's some things that we're working out, like making sure that we have a secure way to give so that people, when they give by credit card or debit card or by check, everything is secure. We're also streamlining the application process because people may want to know, well, how do I get $100 for gas for the week? Or how do I get something to help make ends meet? And just to be clear that the amount that people are going to be able to get is anywhere from $100 to $250, $300. And it's a grant and it's a one-time gift. And so being able to streamline the application process, and one of the big things that I felt very empowered for this project is to make sure that that there was as little red tape as possible, as little
Right.
bureaucracy as possible. You know,
Right.
because
Yeah, you're building a direct aid. It's a mutual aid direct benefit platform,
yes,
and essentially, you don't need people getting knocked out because of the rigmarole.
absolutely, absolutely, and
Right.
that happens a lot. You know, I mean, and God bless them. God bless the agencies that are out there providing support. We want to make sure that they're getting our prayers and getting, you know, support from the community. But we wanted to make sure there was as little red tape as possible to make sure that people felt loved on and felt cared for in that whole
That's right.
process.
That's right.
Hmm.
Well, when it is coming from a heart perspective, it's coming from a place where the vision is aligned to your heart. What do you do? Can you share a little bit about where, like, what how are you even involved in some of this work? Where are you? What are your experiences? How do they set you up for being able to help bring people together like that? Got a slight pause. We'll come on back.
I just love the idea, and I love the strength
in
of the
Anchorage
people
also.
involved. Oh, there we go. We're
Okay.
back.
Yay, we're back. Okay. So the way that how this has all come about for me, me and my husband are ordained through Kingdom Alliance Network, and we do ministry around the world. So I went to ministry school in California, and also did social work type of work through OCS, and also worked with our Native corporations, nonprofits such as South Central Foundation, and with Cook and Let Tribal Council. And so now I work for Genesis Recovery Services here in Anchorage. And so this really kind of set me up
Right.
to have my eyes opened, for one, because I grew up in Alaska since '74, and but then also having a heart for her people.
Right. Right.
And so then gaining all the tools from doing social work, from
The
doing,
experiences.
yeah, all those cumulative experiences. You know, sometimes you'll be doing a job, you're like, I don't know why I'm here. Lord, how did I get here? You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's always a bigger plan.
That's right. And when we're open to recognizing that time may not be in our purview of understanding, but that opportunity when we're there is ours to take, right? So wherever you are, one of the things I learned early on, and I share with people, is there is a learning moment or multiple learning moments in every situation, and in every opportunity that we find ourselves in, and whatever we get might be activatable at some point in the future, but get it when you can.
Yes, absolutely. And
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned in my years of experience in ministry, my years of experience just doing, the hard work in the trenches, is that to keep an open heart, because you never know when a good idea may just drop into your heart.
That's exactly right.
Mhm.
But it's the works, right? It's the works that goes along with that, right? And so I think that's a really important part that people, again, just reflect some of the things that we've been talking about, Jen, which is everybody can contribute. Everybody has something to contribute. But when you're ready to be a servant and you have a servant disposition, you're going to see the opportunity, more often, and make a difference more often.
Yeah, absolutely. I had someone reach out to me and say, I found this pack. It was like a 3-pack of N95 masks. And he said, I know, you're kind of connected into getting masks to healthcare workers. How do I do that? And I gave him the information, and he said, I was almost embarrassed to even reach out. Like, it wouldn't make a difference. But if you think about it, those 3 masks might save 3 healthcare workers, who are going to save how many people who are going to be protected so they can continue to help our community. And so something so small, I mean, think of how small this virus is. and the effect it's having on the world. So I don't think anyone should believe that what they're contributing doesn't matter. Everything we do, no matter how small, makes such a large ripple effect.
That's right. I mean, let me just use an example I've used in that I saw this morning, and I used today in some work that I did earlier with Leadership Anchorage. There's a scene in the movie Moneyball where he's describing Jonah Hill is describing to Brad Pitt his strategy, which is essentially, people go after kind of sometimes the big picture and the celebrity picture, or the big player, but championships are won. Success is built essentially by, or can be understood by, the small marginal differences over time. It's the small adjustments that we make over time that make a big aggregate difference. But it's being open to make those adjustments, being adaptive, especially as community leaders, being responsive to the needs of community. And that's where this communications, the connectivity matter, and then supporting each other from the crowdsourcing perspective. And let me post another comment that came on, for example, which is amen, haha, no bureaucracy. I got a question that was given to me a while ago, which was essentially like, George, do you believe in government or not? And the answer I had was, depends on the issue, right? When we talk about some things that are beyond us, that we kind of have to work with and collaborate with kind of authorities, those are things that I think there are some definite roles when we talk about the stockpiling right now and making sure that we have that our taxpayers are going to support the preparedness and the needs of communities that we pay for. I think those are critical things. When we come back down to the local level, it's the relationship of local government supporting and working with ideas and the entrepreneurial spirit of our community, so that we know we're all in this together. We know we can all make a difference together, and there's nobody standing on the sidelines waiting for government to succeed or fail. That we're all working together, and because the ideas, the greatest ideas that we can have in our city are here already.
That's right.
People have had them already. They're in the hearts and minds of people. And you, sister, you grew up here, 74. You know that there have even been iterations of possibility. Get real close, some possibility where there's a moment, but the larger dynamics maybe weren't aligned to a moment of transformation like we are now, and like where an idea like what you're working on now could really make a difference and be a part of a cultural change of just how we do things, the Anchorage way.
Yeah. Amen. You were preaching right there, George.
Hey, I didn't mean to, but I was just going along with the spirit of what we're talking about in our vision. And I mean, obviously that's my passion, and I carry it. I pretty much wear it on the sleeve, even if it's rolled up.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. So just a couple more things really quick. So I think that the whole connectedness and community connectedness is so important. And that's how, I met Lena, who runs House of Transformation and the Alaska Revival Center, and also Jennifer, who runs Beacon Media and who's a partner in Beacon Media. And being able to have relationship and friendship and cultivating something for the community with people that you care about, but then also people that are upstanding people. Does that make sense? So being able to have something come to fruition because you are connected to others who also want to see Anchorage flourish or want to see families flourish in our state is super important.
That's right. That's right. And that is the Anchorage way too. Like, that is a strong component. But we know when a car's in the ditch, we're going to pull each other out of that ditch. When it hits the fan, we're there. We have that community disposition, and that proximity of that networking with each other. That 1.5 degree of separation that leads to great things. And I think that we are so unique as a community to have such size and mass and potential with such a core of a community spirit that is different, that is ours, and that is I think the fuel of what we're going to do in our rebound. Because I know we're going to have to reset, we're going to have to rebuild, but we will rebound.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the vision. I will obviously stay tuned with you all and continue to support how I can. And then when we're ready to push it out and get people both sides. So if you're listening, or you will listen to this at both sides, if you have the ability to support Anchorage Project Stimulus or other projects with your resources to help other people, this is what we want you to do. And then if you need help, to be able to get through a gap, reach out. And so we want to make everybody know that this is an inclusive vision of how you can participate and how you can get help.
Right on.
Stephanie, thank you very much. You have a great rest of your night. Thank you for joining the Tell George Live tonight.
Thank you. It was fun.
Excellent.
Thank you too. You're glowing. I don't know where you're sitting, but whatever light is hitting you is doing something right.
Amen, sister. I'll take it.
Right on. Have a good night.
Bye. Thanks.
Oh, what a great idea. And this is what we talk about all the time. When we talked about whether it was John Schwartz with the masks, whether it was bringing on Ali Stover, who is involved with as a young emerging leader, involved with the mask makers. Or it's like an advocate in the community that's out there. School board member Margot Bellamy, who is a part of the leadership and helping to communicate to the public the vital information that parents and the community need to know. I mean, we're all in this together. When we hear our stories, it warms my heart so much. I hope my light is glowing too with that warmth.
The glare, George, the glare from your head,
That's a different challenge. Oh man. And let's see if we had any other thoughts or any comments. Thank you. It was a wonderful. Thank you, Cara Lee. It was a wonderful conversation. Wonderful people in our community, and just to remind everybody. You got all of these folks are accessible, right? They're out in the community. If you're on Facebook and you're listening now, you can find them, and people are open. And so reach out, get connected, send them a message. You're looking for the recipe. You're looking for other ideas. You're looking for, when we start rebuilding, a reliable person to do business with. These are the people that we want to make sure that we're all supporting, especially the people that are supporting the community during this time of need. I'll give you another thing I heard about, just so I can bring this up, Jen. Children's Lunchbox.
Yes.
They're delivering food. They're delivering meals for kids.
Yeah.
Do you know about that?
Oh, yeah. Children's Lunchbox. My kids do a lemonade stand. We do it each year with another friend of ours and their daughter and son. And our kids give back a percentage of money to Children's Lunchbox each year because it's something near and dear to our hearts, having the kids be in school and just knowing that some of their classmates, the only food they're getting is at school, and now that that's being taken away, they're not at school. How are these kids being fed? And I know ASD is doing a great job of distributing meals, but as we transition to summer, we're not sure what that resource will be. Well, Children's Lunchbox is here, has been here, will always through the whole year. They are phenomenal. And Lisa and Kim, they're at the Sullivan right now, dealing with, everything surrounding keeping the homeless population safe during all of this. They also do Beans Cafe. So it's an incredible organization that does such big work all the time, but really now it's at a critical level and they need help. They need donations. They need boots on the ground helping them. So definitely look them up and see, if you're out there and you're saying, well, I want to help too. I have this feeling, I have this calling, that's a great one. Just start Googling, Children's Lunchbox and see what you can do because there's so many places that need our help and support.
Well, a good resource that I found that people could check out is AEDC's website has a new page of local organizations that you can support, local businesses that are supporting those organizations. So there's a hub page for COVID resources that the Anchorage Economic Community Development Corp, AEDC, put together. So folks can check that out too.
Great.
Yeah. And on the kids, I was mentioning that because a shout out to Dave Barney and Omar Drummer, two folks that I know in the community who are working out in the Mountain View site, and they're distributing the food 3 times a week. I'm going to be volunteering and doing some stuff too for moving forward for until as long as the need lasts as well. So I just wanted to put out there that there are organizations like this that have been around that are still doing that work. That work may not be broadcast, but it's still there. And kids and the kids' lunchbox, well, they're also giving family meals and family boxes of food away, pantry boxes. So if you need food, look for them as well. ASD does have distribution sites, but there are resources out in the community. We will continue to share what resources we have. And Jenny, would you like any parting words?
I think for me, this was kind of a hard week getting the news that my kids were going to be home. Just that mental shift. I kind of knew it was coming, but just that mental shift, and we're starting to see the numbers kind of climb up, and now we're wearing masks, and so there's a lot of very uncomfortable changes happening very quickly.
Right.
And so I know today felt really heavy for me. We had some conversations with some groups. And finding these pockets of need. And so I think if you're listening, if you're out there, just hang in there with us. I hope that we can bring a little light into your week each week,
Right.
and stay strong. We're here. If you're hurting, reach out. If you're looking to help, reach out, because we can direct you. And Anchorage, we will, like you said, we will reset, we will rebuild, and we'll come out of this stronger. Definitely.
Thank you, Jen. And, I got my mask. So say goodbye to you. And you have a great rest of your night and a great weekend.
Thank you.
And to everybody else, thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for tuning in and checking in. If you found information valuable and you want to share it with a friend, share the video. The recording will be up on our Facebook page. It'll also be available on YouTube. My name is George Martinez. This is Tell George Live. We'll see you next week as we continue to use a platform and the platform and resources of my campaign to keep our community connected and sharing information and lifting our spirits. I know that connections keep us safe, healthy, and prosperous. So let's make sure that we stay connected, keep our distance, and have a good week. See you next time, everybody.